So, Ahmad, do we sing now? Do we sing along with Queen on this one?
I think all of Georgia is singing right now.
Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, along with Ahmad Rashad Carter. Yes, that really is his name. No kidding.
Wow, the full name.
The full name, yes. And we are celebrating
NFC Championship.
NFC Falcons, 44-21. Yes. Ahmad, you happy with the results?
I am very. I called it.
Yes. Yeah, you did. I have to say you did. And who are we going to play in the Super Bowl now?
Well, it depends what happens later on. We have the Steelers and the Patriots are playing right now.
Well, you called the first game. What are you calling on the second game?
It's going to be Steelers.
Steelers? Score?
Yes. I don't know.
Okay.
That's a hard one. I don't know.
All right. And, folks, if you're just tuning in, I am Dr. Joe Esposito, along with Ahmad Rashad Carter. And we're going to be doing lots of traffic, lots of weather. So if you're getting out of the game, if you're driving home from parties, please, folks, stay tuned. We're going to have all your routes covered. Lots of storms moving through the Atlanta area. Most of them are north of Atlanta right now. Canton right now is getting hit hard. But please stay tuned. We're going to have Steve Winslow helping us out with the traffic, but we're going to get you home safe, so don't worry about that. And so we're going to talk about today. Normally, when you tune into my show, we talk about health and wellness. I'm board certified in chiropractic and orthopedics and double board certified in nutrition, and I've got 23 other certifications. And we talk about health and wellness, so my boss called me and Ahmad and said, Joe and Ahmad, I want you guys to do the post-game show.
Great honor.
Yes, we're thrilled. So, Mr. Spriggs, if you're listening, thank you very much for trusting us with this. And so what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the game, of course, but what happens to a football player when they play football? What happens to you when you get in an injury? Because if you remembered, if you were watching the game, that first play, Kendall Bryce from Green Bay, he got hurt the first play of the game. And so what that's telling us is that you don't have to be playing for a long time to have a pretty serious injury. And these guys hit hard. Now, yes. I played football in high school, and I got hurt. I still have permanent injuries from that. I can't imagine that these guys, after one hit, aren't permanently damaged. I mean, you see some of these guys get racked around like that, and it's pretty wild. And Ahmad, you play football?
I did not, no.
Okay. Well, wait. We have a special caller on the line.
Very special guest.
Yes, okay. You think he's the number one WSB Falcons fan?
He might be.
Okay,
I think so.
We have Clark Howard on the line. Clark, you there? Clark,
Rise up.
Hey, man. You excited?
I'm in here with my Falcon helmet and my Falcon football. I've got an autographed Falcon football up on my bookcase, and I've got a Falcon helmet that was signed by all the team. I think, trying to remember if it was the year they went to the Super Bowl. No, it was the year they won the NFC championship or was in the game. And I am just so excited. So I'm watching the game, and my wife's like, this isn't good for your health. You're going to die right here. Because I was pacing frantically, and I was driving her crazy. And I'm like, the Falcons are jinxed. They always lose things like this. Doesn't matter. They're the better team. And she's looking at me like I'm insane, which I was.
That's a separate issue.
But it was so exciting to see them dominate like that. I must tell you that I just didn't know if we'd be able to contain Aaron Rodgers. And we contained them on both sides of the ball. Our offense, as always, was the best in the league, but then the defense, you talk about rising to an occasion.
Wow, wasn't it great?
Wow. I mean, I cannot get over how pumped and excited I am. My sister-in-law is going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
And my brother is flying with her to the game. He is too cheap to buy a ticket for himself, so he's only buying a ticket for her. He always promised her that if the Falcons went to the Super Bowl again, that she would be in the stands. So price is no object. She's going, and he will be in a sports bar somewhere in the vicinity of the stadium. And I was all excited, and I was going to go also. And then I realized I have an event for the station, and so I can't go.
Well, Ahmad and I will gladly sit in for you if you'd like. Right,
Yeah.
Ahmad, you'll go?
Gladly.
Okay.
Gladly.
So, Clark, you can give us your tickets, and we'll go for you.
Well, for 51 years, I've been a suffering Atlanta Falcon fan. And to see them play with this kind of spirit, and, these kids weren't even that play now, they weren't even born in the early years that the Falcons were, well, they weren't so good.
Yeah.
And they're not part of any of that history. They know they're good and they want to go win, and they play as a unit and they play like family, and family is so key. And it's just absolutely thrilling for me. Can you tell I'm a little excited?
Clark, are you okay? Should I take your blood pressure, your pulse? What do you need there?
I'm sure my blood pressure is ridiculous right now. And I said to my brother, my other brother, who called me from Utah, and he said, can you believe it? I said, the best thing is that it was the first game of the day, because it was the second game that was going to end late tonight. I would get no sleep before work tomorrow.
That's true.
Yeah, now, what do you think? What a great way to end the Dome, huh?
Right. A moment of silence for the last game to be played at the Georgia Dome. But at least...
Yeah, don't even get me started about us spending all those taxpayer dollars to build that new thing next door that we don't need.
You mean the old Dome was perfectly fine, right?
Show.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
We're not going to talk about that tonight, because what a waste of our dollars.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what better way to send it off than with an NFC Championship win?
Yes. And do you have your season tickets for the Mercedes Stadium?
I do, and so this is funny. You have to buy something called a PSL, a personal seat license, which only gives you the right to then buy season tickets. So that was what a big fuss was about, because the good seats are $45,000 a seat for the license before you even buy the ticket.
Really?
Each season. Yes.
Wow.
And so that's how a lot of the new stadium is funded, is with the PSLs.
Ah.
Well, now and there have been a lot of unsold PSLs. So now that the Falcons are going to be in the Super Bowl, they're going to sell those PSLs that people wouldn't buy like mad these next 2 weeks, and bring in tens of millions, if not more than $100 million. Oh, yeah. But they're not getting rich from me, because my season tickets are the worst in the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And so my PSL is the lowest in the entire thing. It's $500 a seat. And so that's what I had to pay to have the right then to buy the cheapest seats in the Dome for next season.
The top
not
row.
The Dome. I can't call it the Dome anymore.
It's not the Dome anymore, yeah. So it's the top row behind the column. Is that where you're sitting, right next to the men's room? Is that where your seats are?
It is such nosebleed that anybody who has fear of heights will be able to conquer their fear of heights by going to a Falcon game with me and sitting where we'll be sitting. It's I was told I talked to an iron worker, and where my seats are 30 stories up from the ground.
Wow. And you'll be smuggling
not from the field, but from the actual terra firma, the earth.
Wow.
So, but this is so great for Atlanta. It's such a wonderful thing for us to win. And we got so many people here who aren't from here, and their loyalties are to another team. And so you don't see the city just bathed in Falcon stuff, because, you got people who maybe grew up in Pittsburgh or Philadelphia or Green Bay or wherever. But the people like me who grew up here, let me tell you.
That wasn't a shot at me.
We are really, really fired up.
Oh, it's so great for the city. It's so great for us. Everybody here in the station is just on fire. We're just giggling over here. It's so great to have this.
And who's your team? Where'd you grow up?
Oh, I worked at Giants Stadium, actually. So I actually served beer at Giants Stadium and popcorn. And, so I was a Giants fan, but now I'm a Falcons fan. I have to support Atlanta. Come on.
It's my number 2 team.
That's right.
My
and is that where Jimmy Hoffa's buried, is somewhere in the footings of Giant Stadium?
As an Italian, I cannot confirm or deny that statement. So.
Don't give up the goods.
But I do have some uncles that were a little questionable back in those days, so we're not sure.
We've got a lot of people listening who don't know who Jimmy Hoffa was.
Yeah, Jimmy who? Did he play for the Giants? Who was that guy?
Yeah.
Boys and girls, ask your father who Jimmy Hoffa was, okay?
Wait. We have listeners young enough they have to ask their
grandfather. I know, Clark. I know. You and I are not the kids like we used to be anymore. So
right.
Clark, thanks so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you being here.
And congratulations to all my fellow Atlantans.
right, folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We need to go to a break. We're not going to open up the lines yet. So we're going to go to a break. We're going to go to weather and traffic. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. We're, of course, celebrating the Falcons' victory. In case you maybe just came out of a coma, perhaps you were, passed out somewhere. Falcons won today, 44-21, going to the Super Bowl. Ahmad Rashad with me today. Yes, that is Ahmad Rashad Carter. That is his real name.
Real name.
Yes. We have Steve Winslow. We have Jennifer Griffiths. We are the WSB team, keeping you informed as to how to get home safely from the stadium or from your parties, because we care about you. We at WSB love you guys, and we want you to make it home safe. And so we're going to talk a little bit about injuries. Let's talk a little bit about the injuries that we saw happen today on the field. And then, you got to stay tuned. I'm going to tell you my opinion as to why Green Bay lost. And Ahmad, I told you before, right?
Okay. Yes.
You think I'm right?
I think you're right. Yeah.
You think I'm right? Okay.
Makes sense.
I'm going to give you the exact reason why Green Bay lost, and it has to do with being from Wisconsin. Okay, that's going to be a real important one. And I'm also going to tell you how to avoid the hangovers tomorrow, because I know a lot of you are going to celebrate tonight. You're going to be real happy that the Falcons won, but you also may imbibe in the spirits a little too much, and we're going to tell you how to avoid those hangovers, because Dr. Joe, your health expert and your health coach, I want to help get you through this so we can keep you healthy for the next 2 weeks so you can cheer for the Falcons at that big game. Is that a big game, right? It's a pretty big game, right?
Just a little.
It's
a little
not
bit.
bad. Okay. So, want to talk about, first of all, and this may have happened to you at some time in your life, and this is the big buzz in football right now, is concussions. Now, I played football. I have permanent damage to my neck. I have 2 fractures in my spine. I broke my wrist. You're going to get hurt if you play sports, but very similar happens when you get in a car accident. So I treat a lot of car accidents in my offices. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. And we treat a lot of car accidents, and I think to myself, when you get hit, your head snaps back and forth. But when Ahmad and I were watching the game earlier, and I'm sure you were too, I hope you were anyway, these guys, every time they get hit, their heads snap back and forth. And when that happens, that stretches and tears the muscles and ligaments in the neck and the back. And over time, if you don't realign those vertebrae, what happens is arthritis starts to form. And this is why I've treated a ton of professional athletes, hockey, football, baseball. I've worked with the U.S. Olympic team, the Cuban Olympic team. I was invited to Cuba when I had to get a visa from the U.S. government to go down there, work with the Olympic athletes. If you're an athlete, you're going to get hurt. It just goes without saying. And you have to understand that you have to fix the damage or else it's going to become permanent. And that's what scares me so much about these injuries and football. Because when these guys get hit, yeah, they get paid a lot of money, but their health is on the line. I think the average career in NFL is now 3 years. You play your whole life. You work out, you eat, you miss a lot of family events, and you get a 3-year career out of it. So these guys have injuries and they can't continue playing. You can have injuries too and not be able to continue functioning the way you should. So if you've played sports, folks, it's a good idea to get fixed. Now, Ahmad, you were talking about a couple of injuries you saw in the game, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, injuries in the game, and there's a lot of injuries leading up. Going into, I looked at the Falcons roster. We had 4 injuries, and 2 of which were big players, like Keanu Neal and Julio Jones. And
right.
And the funny thing that I thought about that was pretty interesting is one was foot, and the other one was a toe.
Uh-huh.
And I know you talk about, foot injuries a lot because there's so many different bones in the foot.
Yes.
So I thought that was really interesting.
Well, as a chiropractor, there's 206 bones in the body. And as a chiropractor, my team of doctors and I, we treat all 206 bones. And if any one of those foot bones come out of place, it's going to affect what's called your gait or your ability to walk or run. And that's going to affect how the whole body functions. So you can have a foot injury, which can cause your knee to go out of place, which can affect your hip, which can affect your low back, which could be giving you headaches. So a lot of patients come into our offices and have neck pain and back pain and shoulder pain. And when I do a history on them, it turns out maybe they played football and hurt their foot 30 years ago. And ever since then, they've been walking crooked. And that's why if you have neck pain or back pain or shoulder pain, it's a sign, or foot pain. It's a warning sign telling you something's wrong. And I want you to get this. If you have pain, and I always say if it lasts more than 3 days, you've got an injury that needs to be addressed. Because if you don't address it, I promise you, it's going to get worse. And we don't want your spine getting worse. And folks, if you do want to make an appointment to come see us, we have offices, like I said, Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. You can call my office. It's 844-44-DR-JOE, D-R-J-O-E. And we can get you set up for an appointment because I know a lot of you driving home from the game today, hopefully safely. Steve's going to help you get there, Steve Winslow. And you're thinking to yourself, gosh, I never really thought about my neck pain or my back pain. I take some aspirin, I take some pills, and I kind of work through it, and then I muscle on through the day. So many people suffer needlessly. And this is why so many professional athletes do end up in offices like ours, because they realize, yeah, my career's over, or I'm in the middle of my career. I want to get well and stay well. And that's why it's so exciting, and that's why in my office a lot of times you'll see professional athletes. If you do, please don't jump up and down. Please don't embarrass yourself. They're there just like you. They're patients, and we're trying to get them well. But foot injuries, like you said, Ahmad, 2 of them, and Julio seemed to play fine with that foot injury.
That's what I was about to say. You wouldn't even be able to tell that the guy was injured. I mean, he was killing it tonight.
Well, a lot of these athletes actually travel with their own chiropractors. A lot of rock musicians. I know for years I was the chiropractor for the Fox Theater. I was at Chastain Park for a long time. And when the events, the performers would show up, one of the things they'd request is Joe here today? Say, Joe's here. Okay, so we go backstage and we'd work with them, which is kind of cool. I can't say who they are because of what's called HIPAA laws. I can't give out that information. Folks, Ahmad's playing music. That means we got to go to a break. So if you have a question, you can send it me through my website, drjoeesposito.com, or if you want to send it to me in real time, go to Facebook and send it to Facebook/Dr. Joe Esposito, and I will take your message on the air. I take your question, and whatever the question is, if it's about back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, nutritional issues, digestion, we want to help you out today. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. You listen to WSB Radio, winning Falcons City, Atlanta, Georgia. Folks, got to go to break. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in. I am Dr. Joe Esposito. You are listening to WSB, the #1 talk radio station in Atlanta. And did anything else in Atlanta happen today?
I think a team won.
Somebody won. Something? I know. It was a Little League team. No, the Falcons, folks. We, because you and I personally.
Yeah, I was on the sidelines.
Yes, without us, I don't think they would have had a chance. And without Clark Howard cheering in for us. Yes, Falcons won today. In case you're just waking up, 44-21. We are now the NFC champions. Yes.
That's correct.
Ahmad predicts we will be playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in the big game. So that's Ahmad's prediction. You know, Ahmad, I joke with you. Ahmad Rashad Carter, some people may not know who Ahmad Rashad was.
They may not.
They may not. And it's not, well, beside from you, there was another Ahmad Rashad before you, right? Yes.
There was another.
And you were named after him, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I was.
And he played some sports?
Yes, one of the sports. Badminton?
Badminton, yes. No, Ahmad Rashad was a great, who did he play for, actually?
Oh, you got me. I don't know.
I was named after my father, so it was easy for me. So yes, Ahmad Rashad was a great football player at one point too, and I'm assuming you were named after him too. But yes, we are Atlanta Falcon station. Can we call ourselves the Atlanta Falcon? I don't know if we can call ourselves the Atlanta Falcons. I won't say it just in case we're not. So, but yes,
affiliates.
Yes, but we're yes. If you didn't lose your mind and your voice cheering for the Falcons today, you have 2 weeks to get ready. Because we will be in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And
but yeah, before we get started, now you gave us a teaser of why Green Bay lost. Now you gotta cough up the goods.
All right.
What's the reason why they lose?
You predicted who was going to win. I'm going to tell you why I think they lost. Okay, Green Bay is famous. What are they called? They're called the
Cheeseheads.
The Cheeseheads, right? That's why they lost. They ate cheese. They ate too much cheese. Now, folks, if you listen to my show on a regular basis, I'm not a big fan of cheese. I talk about the 7 deadly sins of nutrition: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Cheese being one of the big ones. So here is my list. My top, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 reasons. So it's not top 10. It's the top 5 reasons why Green Bay lost today's game. Cheese is loaded with saturated fats. Saturated fats clump your red blood cells together, and red blood cells clump together. The players and the fans were too tired. They had no oxygen in their brains and their bodies. They couldn't cheer. That's number 1. Number 2, cheese short. If you eat dairy products, studies have been shown if you cut dairy products out of your life, you can add an extra 8 quality years to your life. So here we were. They were 8 years older than they normally would be. That's my prediction on that. I'm not sure how.
It was a handicap.
It was a handicap. They were all 8 years older than their.
We were playing against the elderly?
It was a senior citizen game, yeah. So this is my prediction. There's absolutely no scientific reason as to why they lost, but this is my feeling. A lot of cheeses contain dyes and colorings that create difficulty in focusing, and that's why the Falcons ran all over them. The ball's over there, and they couldn't pay attention to what's going on. Cheese contains estrogen-like compounds that counteracts testosterone. Now, testosterone, we need that to build muscles, right, folks? And that's why Atlanta was pushing them all over the field, because we have higher testosterone. I think just being in Atlanta, we guys have higher testosterone. And it makes you weak, but it also lowers your libido. Now, this is a family show, so if you don't know what libido is, you're going to have to look it up. So if you're going to celebrate after the game, you want to make sure your testosterone levels are high and your estrogen levels are not too high, counteracting the testosterone. So it's going to help you celebrate a lot better today and in 2 weeks when, of course, we win the Super Bowl. So those are the 5 reasons why. Oh, you also want to avoid it. I got 6. I got a bonus. Bonus reason why.
In there.
Yeah, bonus reason why they lost. Cheese creates mucus. When you're full of mucus, you can't speak very well. You can't cheer. We Atlantans, hopefully we boycotted cheese this weekend, as B98.5, our sister station, was promoting a big cheese ban. And we cheered louder and we celebrated better. And now we also, this is for you too, have to make sure your voices are pure for 2 weeks. So I want you to stay away from the cheese for the next 2 weeks so you don't get the mucus and you stay healthy. Though that is my reasoning as to why the Falcons.
And a lot of announcers did make the comment that the stadium was thunderous.
Yes.
It was really loud, and that's great. Atlanta showed up.
We showed up, man. Everybody did. I was at home. I was so excited. I was watching it. I made myself some bean soup, and I had some bean soup. And, man, I was crazy, too. I was hoping I wouldn't lose my voice so I can come in and do a great show with you. And, folks, if you have a healthcare question, we're going to open up the phone lines, actually, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. If you have a healthcare question on pretty much anything, not just sports injuries or mucus, just about on any health question, we do have some coming in on Facebook. Cindy, she has 2 styes in her whole life in her eyes, and now she has had 4 in the past 3 months. Is there something you need to be concerned about? This is a good question, Cindy, actually, because what's happening is when you start seeing weird things happening, you're getting a lot of cold, you're getting a lot of flu, you're getting a lot of mucus, you start getting styes in your eyes, these are signs that your immune system is not as strong as it should be. So what we have to do now, Cindy, is we have to start thinking about, why is my immune system so weak? And it could be from sugar. Sugar is probably the number one thing from a food standpoint that really just blows out our immune system. I have a new book that just came out. It's called Prescription for Extreme Health. And in the sugar section, we talk about how dangerous sugar is, especially to the immune system. If you drink a can of soda, that amount of sugar, this is what it does to your immune system. A white blood cell can usually kill off about 14 pathogens or viruses, germs, bacteria before it dies off. If you drink a can of soda, that same white blood cell now can kill off 1 pathogen before it dies off. So essentially, you're weakening your immune system by 14%. So you really got to be careful, especially in the winter months, not to weaken your immune system. And that's when we seem to eat the most sugar. Breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. Of course, we're at our parties now. We had our tailgating parties. We have our post-game parties. We have our upcoming Super Bowl parties. You got to be careful about that. And the reason I say that is I want you to have fun. I want you to have a blast. But I want you to understand, too, that I don't want you getting sick. Because if you're too sick to enjoy the game, well, that's not going to be a whole lot of fun. And a lot of people, and you think about Super Bowls past, a lot of people couldn't make it to parties because they had a cold or the flu. And I don't want you to be one of those people. So sugar is going to be one of the things. Now, Cindy, I'm going to give you a little advanced expert advice here when it comes to styes and issues with the eyes. Your tears are wonderful antibiotics. And so what we can do is we can actually get yourself to cry. That's going to help flush away those infections. And the simplest way to do that is chop onions. So if you're chopping onions, don't burn your eyes too badly. But when you start to tear up, let yourself tear. And those tears are going to help flush out any issues with the stye and help to heal it a lot faster. So that's kind of a little underground secret there I want to share with you. Folks, got to go to a break. Man, that was quick. I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, along with
Ahmad Rashad Carter.
Ahmad Rashad Carter. There you go. Got Johnny answering calls for us. We got Jennifer Griffey's on news, and we have Steve Winslow on traffic. Folks, give us a call if you have a healthcare question. 844-44-Dr. Joe. We'll be right back. All right, folks, name that song. Name that tune. Ahmad, you know what it is because you poured it up there.
I did not know beforehand.
You didn't know, and what is it? It is?
It is Fanfare for the Common Man.
By?
Emerson, Lake, and Palmer.
Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. Absolutely. One of my favorite bands ever. Gosh, I saw them in concert once, and I saw Keith Emerson. Greg Lake and Carl Palmer separately, but unbelievable. Talk about talented musicians. Unbelievable. And I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're here on WSB Radio celebrating the Falcons' win today. I got Jennifer Griffey's on news, Steve Winslow on traffic, Johnny's our screener. If you have a healthcare question, give us a call, 844-44-Dr. Joe. And, of course, those of you old enough, I have Ahmad Rashad Carter with us, but not the Ahmad Rashad, but a Ahmad Rashad.
I love how you have to do the full name.
Yes. Well, it's such a great name, you know? I mean, Joe Esposito sounds like a mob guy. You know, hey, Joey, bag of donuts. Hey, come on. But Ahmad Rashad Carter, such a great name. So, and if you have a healthcare question, let's give Johnny something to do today. Give us a call at 844-44-Dr. Joe. And, of course, we're celebrating the Falcons' win, but we're also talking about health because we want to keep you healthy because not only are you a fan of WSB Radio, hopefully you're a Falcons fan, or certainly happy for the city at least, and we want to keep you healthy because in 2 weeks we got this big game coming up, and we got to make sure everybody's happy and healthy. Let's go to the lines. Is it Mac?
Yeah.
Hey, how can we make your day better today?
Oh, doing good. I appreciate your show, and I listen to you quite a bit, and I really feel like you do a lot of good and helping a lot of people, and I just wanted to run it by you. I have this hurting sensation and burning and stinging in the left side and up my breast toward my arm, and I do a lot of belching.
Sure.
And all this, it doesn't bother me of a morning when I go and active and feed my chickens and I'm active and nothing don't bother me. But if I eat and then I exercise, I get this hurting.
I'm going to tell you what it is right now, Mac. You have a sheet of muscle across your body called your diaphragm, and the diaphragm goes up and down, and that's why you can breathe. Below your diaphragm sits your stomach. There's a hole in the diaphragm called the lower esophageal sphincter, and food goes into your lower esophageal sphincter, into your stomach, and then is digested and goes into your small intestine, is passed on. Your stomach, I'm going to bet you on this one, is pushing up against your diaphragm. And when you eat, the food sits in your stomach, pushes the food back up through the diaphragm into the esophagus, and that's what's causing the belching. It's called gastroesophageal reflux disease. Heartburn is another word. And the only way I've found to fix this, because I have the same condition as you, the only way I've ever found to fix it is you have to take the stomach, somebody who knows what they're doing, and pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. If you go to my website, I have it's the #1 article on my website by far. It's on gastroesophageal reflux disease, and I explain the technique. And in my new book, Prescription for Extreme Health, I also have a whole chapter on this. Because as a chiropractor, the #1 thing we see in our offices is pain, neck pain, back pain, car accidents. The #2 thing we see is your condition.
Okay.
Now, I know you're in Virginia, so it's a little tough for you to get down to Atlanta. But if you go to my website and send me an email with where you are, I'll see if I could find you a doctor in your area who might know how to do it, or maybe I can teach him how to do it.
Okay. Well, presently I'm taking a stomach medicine I used to have a lot of reflux.
Uh-huh.
And I am taking I was taking some Prevacid, but, and that helps,
Sure.
as far as the reflux and everything. But I still get this discomfort and awful lot of hurting after I eat.
Well, the medication can help cover up the symptoms, but it's not going to fix the cause. And the other problem, some medications, depending on what medication you take for acid reflux, one of the side effects is it prevents you from absorbing calcium, magnesium, vitamin B12, and iron. So now we can go into nutritional deficiencies because of the medication preventing you from absorbing the nutrients. So in a case like yours, if I'm right, and I guess I am, I would suspect that if we pulled the stomach away from the diaphragm and got that fixed, that would solve the problem, and then hopefully you wouldn't have to take the medication anymore.
I wondered about that, but I heard you explain that a lot to other people, and I was telling my wife that's probably what my problem is.
Yeah, it's such a common problem, I would probably venture a guess that's true. So if you send me an email with where you are in Virginia, I'll see if I can find you a doctor in your area.
Well, I appreciate your time and explaining it to me. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mac. Have a great day. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're celebrating the Falcons' 44-21 win, along with Ahmad Rashad Carter. I just got to say it. And if you have a healthcare question, give us a call at 844-44-Dr. And when we're going to take a break in a few minutes. When we come back, I'm going to give you the secret, in case you partook in too much of the spirits. You're going to get a hangover tomorrow. I'm going to give you some secrets as to what you need to do to avoid that and hopefully not have the damage that alcohol does to your brain. As a chiropractor, my big concern is I want to make sure the nervous system is working, that the brain is able to send messages down the spine, out the nerves to the body. Injuries like you see in a football game can cause the bones to twist out of place and pinch nerves. And my team of doctors, we put the bones back in place, unpinch the nerves, back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, foot issues, Ahmad and I talked about earlier. But we also want to fix you from a chemical standpoint, from a nutritional standpoint. I have sitting in front of me something called Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. That is the absolute minimum supplements I believe everyone should take every day, because most people don't eat a good diet. We're under stress. We have physical issues. And you got to give your body the nutrients in order to run properly. And so Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, they're 2 powders. I mix them up with, I have coconut milk today. And just amazing how well they work. And once people start taking it, even for a few days, they'll say, Dr. Joe, don't ever stop making this stuff. It's amazing. It helps me with my sugar cravings. It helps me feel good. It gives me energy, gets my brain working. And that's all that's available on my website, drjoeesposito.com. Or you just Google Dr. Joe. We're the #1 Dr. Joe in the world. If you have questions and we don't get you on the air today, you can send them to me through Facebook, Facebook/Dr. Joe Esposito, or you can send them me through my website, drjoeesposito.com. And you can get my books there, my supplements. You can send me questions, watch videos. We archive our radio shows there. It's really a great website. So drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Folks, the phone lines are open for your healthcare questions, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DR-JOE. And my website is drjoeesposito.com. When we come back, I'm going to give you the secret, in case you drank too much alcohol, what you need to do to avoid those hangovers for today, and then what you need to do to avoid them for your big Super Bowl parties as well. Don't go anywhere. Tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Glad you could be with us. We are coming to you from WSB Radio in Atlanta. Oh, by the way, Atlanta, home of the NFC champion Atlanta Falcons. How about that?
How about that?
And we are honored to have WSB Sports Director Jay Black. Jay.
Easy now.
Not honored?
No.
All right, this guy, Jay, I heard about this guy. Yeah. He's all right. He could talk to us a little bit. Jay, you are at the Dome, I understand.
Yeah, we're here in the press box. Just came up for air out of the locker rooms, talking to the ecstatic Falcons and coaches, players after the game here. Second time ever the Falcons are going to the Super Bowl. First time they've ever actually done it here in Atlanta in 51 seasons of football. And Joe, I got to say that the atmosphere in the Dome, I've covered everything from high school games to Final Fours to SEC championships in this building, and I've never heard it this loud. I mean, this place was rocking, even though it was just a giant blowout, really. And the Falcons never let up, but this place, it was just, second half was just a party. It was just basically we're going to the Super Bowl party with the Packers just kind of in the way.
Wow.
It was a very special night here in the Dome.
Wow, we are jealous. Ahmad and I are so jealous that you were there. What were some of the highlights in the locker room afterwards?
Everybody, they're still kind of, the players, when they talk, they a lot of the answers are kind of, the questions are kind of the same, and the answers are kind of the same sometimes when you're going through the routine of the regular season. But a lot of them was just in awe. Jonathan Babineau, who's the longest serving current athlete in Atlanta of any of the teams, I asked him, did the reality of going to the Super Bowl now after you've been here for so many years live up to the dreams that you thought in your head? And he's like, I don't know. I'm kind of numb right now. And it is a lifelong accomplishment for these guys. And just 30 minutes after it happened, it's still kind of hard for them to wrap their heads around.
I was watching on TV. Ahmad and I were watching, and we were just so excited and watching the Dome and going, wow, it must be on fire in there. I mean, what did it sound like in there?
Yeah, I mean, it was. You had a couple of moments where your ears were hurting. 71,000. What was the final attendance here? 71,127. And most of them were Falcons fans. There was a few cheeseheads that paid the tax to get in here, but not many. I was a little worried about that they might pony up, but Falcons fans hung onto their tickets, and they enjoyed it. Blew the roof off the Dome, and they're not going to need it anymore, so that was good.
Yeah. It can leak now, yeah. No, we looked. We couldn't even see, Ahmad and I, we couldn't even see a Green Bay shirt anywhere. It was just all black and red, man. It was great.
Yes.
Yeah, when they come down here for regular season games, they make some racket. They can sometimes get 30% of the crowd in here when they were here for regular season games. And it was probably 10. They made a little bit of noise when Aaron Rodgers was doing something, but he didn't do a whole lot today. That first half and the first half of the third quarter, it was about as perfect of a football game as you could see. 31-0. That was everybody expected the Falcons to score. That was not the surprise. It was the zero that the Falcons defense put up for 2.5 quarters. That was just shocking. And Aaron Rodgers ran out of lucky horseshoes, and he couldn't pull off anymore. He was just totally overmatched today.
Yeah, a lot of people thought that this game was going to be a shootout, and it seemed like Green Bay just didn't bring the ammo.
They didn't have it to bring. They were too banged up, and sometimes in sports, Ahmad, you can just tell within 10 minutes the other team has no shot. And the Packers had no shot.
Wow.
I got a text from a colleague saying, "If you got your credential for the Super Bowl, right?" And this was after the first touchdown. And I said, "Yep, I've put in for it." So a lot of people could tell then it's like, "Ooh, Green Bay's in a lot of trouble," and they were.
Yeah, a lot of folks were talking about Rodgers being sick, having the flu. You think that had any effect on the game?
I don't think.
Yeah,
so.
he didn't look sick at all. No.
The guys chasing him didn't have the flu. That was the bigger issue.
That's right. Yeah, Falcons looked healthy, man. Didn't they look great?
They were fast. They were flying around, and this defense had really struggled at times this season.
Yeah.
And that's even mid-November. You're wondering, is this team really a decent playoff team, because they've got the offense, but they can't stop anybody. And it was like a lot of players told me kind of after that bye week they were able to regroup a little bit after they played poorly against the Eagles, regrouped a little bit, and then you could tell from that point on it was really a different team. And I, if it's either New England or Pittsburgh, bring it on, because this team can hardly play any better than they are right now.
Some of the plays, even with the challenges that the Falcons called, and it was like one after another, they won the challenge. They won the challenge. The Falcons could really do no wrong today, it looked like.
Yeah, they had one of the they tried to run a little trick. I guess it was a I don't know
what was
it
that
I
all
guess
about?
It was a trick play where Gabriel ran across and he was going to catch the snap, and that was a bust. But they didn't fumble it, and those are just kind of the thing. Gabriel got back on it, and those are just kind of the things you can tell it's your day, and it was one of the. It's the second biggest moment in Atlanta sports history besides the Braves winning the World Series in 1995, and that's. There's a whole generation now of fans, because the last time a team from Atlanta played for a championship was the '99 Braves when they got swept in the World Series by the Yankees, a professional sports team. So it's been basically every kid that's going to school tomorrow in Metro Atlanta has never gone to school with this kind of experience where they just saw one of their teams play for a championship. And if they were even alive, they don't remember it.
And what are the players doing right now? Like, it's been an hour or so now. What are they doing right now?
Going home. It's they are the locker room procedure for media is you stick a microphone in front of them while they're getting dressed, and once they shower off and get dressed, they are. A few of the players said we will go enjoy it, and then we'll get back to work tomorrow, but we will be safe. And hopefully they'll be listening to your remedy for how you handle a hangover.
Oh, yes. I was just thinking about that.
Tomorrow.
Yes. Next segment, we're going to have to talk about that, not just for the fans, but for the Falcons. I never thought about that.
I think they will behave themselves, because this is great. This is fantastic. But there's one thing that's never happened in the 51 years that the Falcons have been playing football in Atlanta. That's winning the Super Bowl. And so nothing stupid now.
Yeah. Prediction for the final score next week? 2 weeks from now.
Need a team first.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter. Falcons what?
They're going to score. I don't see New England or Pittsburgh stopping them either. I don't think we're going to get a 60-point game. Which, by the way, for those that matter, we beat the over. 63 points total. I think it'll come down a little bit. I don't think we'll get both teams really laying it out in the Super Bowl. But I don't know if New England or Pittsburgh can stop the Falcons either.
I don't think anybody can stop the Falcons.
I'm not totally sold yet on New England. Because, Tom Brady's Tom Brady, and that's always an issue, and Bill Belichick's Bill Belichick, that's always an issue, but they didn't play a great schedule this year, so I'm not totally sure how good they are. I do know how good Pittsburgh is, and they're like the Falcons. They kind of had a little rough stretch here in the middle of the season, then all of a sudden the light bulbs going on, and they got Ben Roethlisberger and Bell and Brown, and they're just that offense is as good as the Falcons is, and they are battle tested too. But when you get to the Super Bowl, there's no flukes. So either way, it'll be quite a challenge. But this team's no joke either. This was a terrific team to watch today.
Jay Black, news director, WSB. Thanks so much for being with us.
Sports director.
Oh, sports director, not news director. That's
cut
right.
Chris Camp's legs
Chris
off
will
there.
beat me up. Chris, if you're listening, I was only kidding. Jay, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
See you.
Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. If you have a healthcare question, give us a call, 844-44-Dr. Joe. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Glad you could be here. Falcons, NFC champions here in Atlanta, making Atlanta very, very proud. You guys did a great job. If you're listening, thanks so much. And I did promise, got a lot of callers on the air, but I did promise that I would give you some ideas on what to do if you partook partook in too much of the spirits. I don't know. I guess partook, is the right one, right? So if you partook in too much alcohol while celebrating today, or actually any time, here's a couple of tips to avoid the damage that occurs from drinking alcohol. It's not just that you feel bad. The reason you feel bad is the alcohol-caused damage. Now, alcohol is a diuretic, which means what? Makes you pee, right? You ever notice how you drink one beer, you pee out 3? Where those other 2 beers come from? Your body has a chemical in it called antidiuretic hormone. It's also called vasopressin. What happens is you're constantly producing vasopressin or antidiuretic hormone, so you don't pee all the time. Well, when you drink alcohol, alcohol shuts down your brain's ability to produce vasopressin, which means you pee. Now, the reason that happens is because your body is trying to flush the alcohol out of your system. It's perfectly normal. In fact, it's the body's defense mechanism because alcohol destroys brain cells. And as a chiropractor, my concern is making sure your brain is sending messages down the spine, out the nerves, to every cell in the body. The arms, the legs, the heart, the lungs, the spleen. Every cell has to get messages from the brain. We can interfere with those messages chemically or physically. Now, chemically is alcohol is one of the things. Physically would be a bone out of place pinching a nerve, causing neck pain or back pain or shoulder pain. And as a chiropractor, my team of doctors and I, we work all day, every day, putting people's bones back in place and unpinching the nerves. But alcohol prevents the body from producing vasopressin, which means you try to flush the alcohol out of the system before it causes the brain damage. So that's why your body is protecting itself. So here's a couple of tips. Number 1, for every drink you have, I want you to have 3 glasses of water. Because remember, you're going to drink 1 beer, pee out 3. I want you to replace that fluid. So you got to replace that fluid so the brain doesn't shrink, and that's really what causes a lot of the hangover. You have to replace the nutrients that are being flushed out of your system. And this is real important because most of us don't eat a real good diet. All right? And especially today, probably. A lot of you didn't eat a good diet. You've got to replace those nutrients. And I created something called Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source several years ago because somebody asked me, what would you consider the world's best supplement? And I said, well, let me make it for you. And it's 2 powders. I mix it with, I like coconut milk or almond milk, shake it up. I have it at least once a day. In fact, today I had it twice because I knew we had big coverage for the Falcons win today. I knew it was going to be a win. And that's the minimum amount of nutrients you should get every day and eat a good diet. So Super Greens and Essential Source, they're on my website, by the way, drjoeesposito.com. I think everybody should take them. Try them for a month. And most people are just blown away with how amazing it is. So Super Greens and Essential Source replace the nutrients that you're flushing out with your the alcohol, which shuts down your vasopressin. Now, alcohol is broken down or metabolized with an enzyme in your liver called alcohol dehydrogenase. Alcohol dehydrogenase breaks down alcohol into acetaldehyde, and then it breaks down another enzyme. So anyway, alcohol dehydrogenase is the enzyme you have in your liver that breaks down alcohol into something called acetate. If you don't produce enough of these enzymes, you're the type of person who can't drink a lot of alcohol. That's me. I can't drink a lot of alcohol. If I have a little bit, I feel awful. I probably don't produce that enzyme. Now, if you don't produce the enzyme, you start getting sick. And that's why you see some people can drink a lot, wake up the next day and go, I feel okay. Other people don't. So if you can't produce that enzyme, kind of is what it is. You get wasted on just a little bit of booze, you feel terrible the next day. So there is a genetic predisposition to your ability to process alcohol. And don't fight it, folks. If you can't do it, you can't do it. If you can do it, you shouldn't do it. But if you do it, make sure you're drinking enough water to rehydrate your body, and you got to get those nutrients back in the body. So if you're not eating a perfect diet, and even if you do, I'm going to recommend you take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source because those two are those 2 supplements. I couldn't imagine having a day without them. That's how important they are. And you can get them on my website, drjoeesposito.com. Let's see. We got some callers here. Let's go to Colby. How can we make your day better, Colby?
Yes, sir. I grew up and never really got laryngitis, losing my voice. But over the past, about 4 years or so, I'm 28. I seem to get it more and more. And in the past 6 months, I've gotten it twice. Basically every single time I get sick, I lose my voice pretty much. So
right.
Is there something I should be worried about or is not?
Well, the reason is you're getting sick. Now, laryngitis can come if you have acid reflux. We talked about that earlier. The acid from your stomach can get up into your throat and irritate your vocal cords. And one of the things I see a lot of, especially in winter, patients come in and say, Dr. Joe, I got a chronic cough. And I don't know what's causing this cough. Sometimes it's low grade, sometimes it's a little more grandiose, but they don't know what it is. And when I check their stomach, the acid is coming up into their esophagus, irritating their throat. So we need to pull the stomach away from the diaphragm. We had another question on Facebook sent it, so I'm going to answer both your questions at the same time here. You got to build up your immune system, because if the immune system is weak, we're going to get sick. The question on Facebook was, this gal kept getting sick. She went to the doctor. Doctor says, I don't know why you keep getting sick. There's nothing I can do for you. So a couple of things, Colby, and everybody listening, and my Facebook friends, is you want to talk about stay away from the sugars. That's breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. Those are the things that just blow out your immune system. There are certain things you can take. I have a supplement I created called Dr. Joe's Immune Booster. And it's herbs like echinacea, pau d'arco, olive leaf extract, and it stimulates white blood cell production. I take that just about every day in the winter because we have a tendency to get sick. Another thing I want you to consider, Colby, as well, is you got to get your vitamin D levels up. Almost everybody is vitamin D deficient. So I would say 5,000 international units of vitamin D, comes in a little capsule, every day, minimum. If you start feeling sick, you can take up to 20,000 for about 4 or 5 days and then cut back to 5,000 again. So cut out the sugar, Dr. Joe's Immune Booster, and the vitamin D. Now, if you are sick, like if you're getting the laryngitis, I have something called Dr. Joe's Cold and Flu Tonic. Now, this stuff is made with ginger, horseradish, cayenne pepper, onion, and garlic. So it really, it's powerful. But whenever I start feeling a little under the weather, I'll start taking that every hour or two. I'll take about 4 or 5 dropperfuls. And I can't remember last time I had a full-blown cold, and I certainly haven't had the flu in probably 15, 20 years. So we build up the immune system, fight it off if you get it, and stop weakening the immune system, and that'd be the best way to do it.
All right, thanks, sir.
Thanks, Colby. I appreciate the call. And, folks, chiropractic care also helps because chiropractic care has shown that if you, when you get chiropractic adjustments, your white blood cell activity increases. So a lot of people think about chiropractic for neck pain and back pain, shoulder pain, car accidents, sports injuries, like we're talking about the Falcons. But many times folks will come to us once they understand what chiropractic does, and they'll say, Doc, I just want to stay healthy. So make sure you get my body adjusted. Make sure my stomach isn't up against my diaphragm. And it's really neat when people get well. It's a lot of fun. That's why I've been doing this for 32 years and plan on doing another 32 years. Folks, if you do want to come see us, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. You could just go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. And when I'm not on the air, you can always call 844-44-DR-JOE to make an appointment. And we accept most major medical insurances. And we want to be your doctors. And we want to get you guys healthy so we can cheer for the Falcons when they're in the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, glad you could be here. I am Dr. Joe Esposito, along with my sidekick, Ahmad Rashad Carter. He loves when I give his full name. And we are here in Atlanta, home of the NFC champion Falcons, and they did a great job today, winning 44-21 against Green Bay. Very proud of them. If you guys are listening, great job, guys. Way to rise up. We're looking forward to watching you win the Super Bowl as well. And we're talking today about covering health and sports injuries and kind of taking a little diversion from my usual show here because the Falcons, of course, things we have to talk about. And, boy, those guys, they hit hard, don't they?
Right. I mean, those are guys like 200-plus pounds. I mean, that's coming crashing at you.
Well,
there's multiples.
Yes. For all you physics majors out there, if you want to know how hard you get hit, you take the weight of something like Ahmad or a 300-pound lineman, and you multiply it by how fast they're going. So force is mass times acceleration. So if you have a 300-pound lineman running at, I don't know, 5 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour? Right?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, you just multiply the two, and that's how much it is. And that's why a car hitting you at a slow speed would cause more damage than, let's say, Ahmad, who's a very handsome, muscular fella, even running at a fast speed, because a car is going to have a bigger mass and a slower acceleration. That's how much force there is. But that's just physics. But somebody asked me on Facebook about that. They were asking about chiropractic adjustments, because I am a chiropractor, and that's how we move bones. I'm not strong enough to move a bone, but if I move fast enough, I can get the bone to move. So a chiropractic adjustment is force is mass times acceleration. But that same force can cause damage as well.
Right, like concussions.
Good point. We should talk about concussions, shouldn't we? Yes. That's a big buzzword right now in sports injuries is concussions. And I had several when I played football. But a lot of people get concussions and they don't know it. But when these guys are getting hit, they're getting concussions. And what happens is your brain is floating. in your brain. You have your skull, and the brain floats in fluid called cerebrospinal fluid. And when your body is hit, your head snaps backwards, and your brain slams into the front of the skull. Then your head snaps forward, and your brain slams into the back of the skull. And that kind of injury is called a contre-coup injury, French meaning back and forth. And your head goes back and forth, and you can actually get bruises in your brain from slamming up against your skull. And really, that's what a concussion is. And that can affect the flow of cerebrospinal fluid. And then you have bones in your neck moved out of place, bones in your low back, your hips get knocked out of place. That can affect the flow of cerebrospinal fluid. And cerebrospinal fluid is the fluid that feeds your brain and your nervous system. And so this is why with chiropractic care, we see a lot of these injuries with professional and amateur athletes and car accidents. And we need to get everything realigned, not just because you had neck pain and back pain and you feel better, but because we want to get the flow of cerebrospinal fluid normal. And in my new book, it's called Eating Right for the Health of It. It's my old book. My old book. I got too many books. My new book is Prescription for Extreme Health. I actually have a bonus section on extreme athletes. So if you're an extreme athlete, we cover nutrition, what to eat, what not to eat, things you can do to keep yourself healthy, even recipes and menus laid out for event day before event games. And I just put that as a bonus in this book because we have so many athletes as patients, and they want to know what to do about it.
Right. So just like in Dr. Joe world,
yes.
If you were like the head of the Falcons,
yes.
and you were ahead of like their nutrition protocol, what would you, especially going up to a big game like they had tonight, like what kind of diet would you prescribe to some of our athletes?
Ahmad, that's a great question, actually. I would absolutely get them away from things like saturated fats, the heavy meats, the dairy products, because the saturated fats can clump your red blood cells together. And that can prevent proper flow of blood, which is going to bring you energy, but also flush away waste products. I would get them on a high-fiber diet, a lot of plants. Of course, I'd put them on Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source because a lot of athletes do take that, but a lot of regular folks take it too to make sure they get the minimum amount of nutrients that their body needs. I'd give them a double dose, of course, at that level. I'd probably even give them some beet powder, B-E-E-T, like red beets, because beet powder has nitrates in it, and nitrates converts into nitric oxide, and nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels. And a lot of times people will do things like coffee to give themselves energy, when in reality, coffee doesn't give you energy, it robs the body of energy. And then, of course, I would also check their spines, which most of them, I'm sure, have chiropractors ready, to make sure, I treat some of them, to get the bones put back in place, to open up the nerve supply physically, and then treat them chemically as well. And make sure they're hydrated, because most of us don't know we're dehydrated until it's too late. When you start getting thirsty, you're probably a little too far gone in dehydration. But yeah, I'd love to work with them. I've worked with a lot of professional athletes and Olympic athletes, and it's really kind of cool to see the change happen in a relatively short period of time when you change your diets. And we cover a lot of that in my book, Prescription for Extreme Health. So, great question. Let's go to some other questions. Brenda, how can we make your day better?
Hi, Dr. Joe. How are you?
I'm glad.
Go Falcons.
Yeah, go Falcons. There we go, Brenda.
Yeah. That was very exciting. That was a great game.
Yeah.
Well, I was just calling just a little off your beaten track, I'm sure.
That's okay.
About a little pyoderma ulcer I have on the bottom of my leg. It's just above the ankle. I had scraped it on a bar stool, and about 2 weeks later, it kind of started pussing up and became infected real bad, and it turned into this monster of an ulcer.
Wow.
It was very painful. I spent 10 days in the hospital.
Oh, my. Wow.
And, yeah, so it was quite a thing. And this happened about 6 months ago. So it's not quite healed. It has, like under the skin, like a little white pocket. And one of the doctors I went to, he said that that's a little staph infection that's still up under the skin.
Sure.
So I just recently finished up antibiotics, and it just has not taken it down. I also put some topical gentamicin cream on it.
Good. Okay.
And it's just up under the skin enough that the gentamicin can't get at it.
Right. All right. You could try a little more natural approach too. I'm not saying don't take the drugs, but tea tree oil seems to work really well for skin infections. TEATREE, tea tree oil.
Okay.
It's antibiotic, antiviral, and antifungal. And another fun thing you can do as a little, extreme bonus here is you can actually take a little bit of garlic, slice some garlic and rub it on that area, then slice a little bit more to get the garlic juice and rub it on that area, because garlic is antibiotic, antiviral, and antifungal as well. So sometimes if it's a staph infection, if it's antibiotic resistant, we have a lot of these super bugs now that are resistant to the drugs. You can try something these pathogens have never seen before. Tea tree oil, garlic works real well. And then between applications, put on some coconut oil. Okay? And so that would be something, because I hear this a lot, and I've done a show, I think, a while ago on superbugs, on how we've used so much antibiotics in our meats and our dairy products and our medicinal uses that the viruses, germs, and bacteria have mutated, and they're just not responding. So a lot of doctors now are going back to the old school methods. What did we do old time? Dr. Joe's cold and flu tonic has a lot of those natural things in it: garlic, ginger, horseradish, cayenne pepper. These were the things that we used before we had the medicines to use. And so a lot of people are going back to that now and getting some pretty good results with it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, and you had mentioned earlier about that slight cough going on.
Yes.
I tend to get that too. Like, seems to come around this time of year.
Yeah.
That just doesn't seem to have anything to do with a cold.
Right. A lot of times it's the stomach up against the diaphragm. So from your case, if you came into our offices, again, we have offices Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge, I would check the nerves in the low back to see if you have any pinched nerves going into the leg to make sure you're getting the proper nerve and blood supply to the leg. I would check to see if your stomach is pushed up against your diaphragm. I'd get you off your sugar. I'd get you on some things to build up the immune system, and then I'd use those topicals as well, like we talked about.
Very good.
Great.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to come and see you then.
I think that's a good idea, Brenda. Thanks so much. And, folks, if you do want to come see us, you can always call my office, 844-44-Dr. Joe, or go to my website, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for being here in Atlanta, where the Falcons are now the champions, and they're going to the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. So we're here to help get you well and keep you well so that you can stay healthy and cheer for the Falcons so that we can also win the Super Bowl and show everybody how awesome Atlanta is, because it really is a cool city. I'm here with my sidekick, Rashad Carter. There we go. I got to throw it. Johnny's taking your calls at 844-44-Dr. Joe. That phone number, by the way, folks, rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. If you want to make an appointment, if you have questions, and we're there for you all day. We see patients 6 days a week, actually. Let's go back to the callers. Linda, how can we make your day better?
Hello.
Hi, Linda.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm glad you're here. You happy that the Falcons won?
Oh, yes, of course.
Good. So how can we make your day better?
That's very exciting.
Yes.
Question one. I have a son-in-law. He's roughly 30 years old, and he works, I guess, like from 8 in the morning to 7 at night, and he works like 3 days on and off 2 and work 4 and then off 3 or whatever. I can't keep up with the schedule,
I understand.
but here's the thing. Even when he gets off from work, he sleeps. And I know that's normal for people to get maybe like 8-9 hours, but my goodness, he sleeps like 13 to 14 hours every day.
What usually happens in cases like that is because of the weird schedule, they burn out a gland called their adrenal glands. Now, burnout is kind of a euphemism, but the adrenal glands are little glands. They sit on top of your kidneys, and they produce adrenaline. They produce hormones. They produce anti-inflammatories. They produce cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And the body starts producing so much cortisol because it's a stress hormone. It's not producing testosterone, estrogen, and other hormones. And so the body just is fatigued. It's not getting the hormones that it needs to build muscle mass, to get good circulation. And so first of all, I would get him checked to make sure there's nothing else going on. You know, we can do a medical evaluation, or you can bring him to one of our offices and we can check his adrenal glands. And if the adrenal glands are pooped out, I would put him on an adrenal supplement, and I'd get him off the things that are damaging his adrenal glands. Coffee, of course, is the big one. Other stimulants, chocolate, teas, things like that. I would also check the nerves in his mid-back, because the nerves in the lower part of the mid-back control the kidneys and the adrenal glands. And quite often I find patients with adrenal fatigue or adrenal burnout, they have pinched nerves in that area. So we've got to unpinch the nerves, open up the nerves to the adrenals, get them on an adrenal supplement, get them off the things that are burning out the adrenals, and then hopefully we can get them back into a normal 8-hour sleep cycle.
Wow, that would be great. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
And my second question, real quick, I recently have discovered I have a floater in my left eye.
Yeah.
Is that something that you can attack or
Floaters
elaborate on?
Yeah, what I find with floaters, because I had them for years too, is when you increase your raw foods, raw fruits and vegetables, you increase your enzyme levels. Now, floaters are kind of tough because they're in the eye, but I find when you take a higher enzyme intake in your food, the enzymes can, hopefully, in your case, as it didn't mine, dissolve some of those floaters. And enzymes come from, broccoli, cabbage, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocados, anything raw. But Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source are also raw. And that's one of the reasons I created them the way I did, to increase people's enzyme levels. And I used to say if you age, your enzyme levels drop. In reality, as your enzyme levels drop, you age. And we're all going to age, but if we can get those enzyme levels high, it's incredible what the body does when those enzyme levels get back to where they should be. So that would be something I might want to consider for you. Now, it's going to take probably several months before you see a change, but it should work pretty well for something like a floater.
Okay. Is it, sometimes I see flashes of light. Do I need to go see an ophthalmologist?
Yes. Yeah, when you see the flashes of light, you definitely want to get that checked out. Yeah, that's not something that you want to jerk around with. You want to get that checked. So let them check that out. But I have something called macular degeneration. And my eye doctor basically told me, listen, you're either going to stay the same or get worse. You could go blind from it. And mine has gotten exceptionally better, probably about 80% better since I did the Super Greens and the Essential Source. It took me about a year or so to see the changes, though. Okay?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what is it called again, Dr. Joe's?
Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. They're on my website, drjoeesposito.com. Or you can call the office at 844-44-DR-JOE. Okay? Thanks, Linda. I appreciate it. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Hope you're celebrating the Falcons win like we are here at the station. Maude, thanks for being here with me today. Johnny, thanks for doing the screenings today. If you have any questions, folks, my website, drjoeesposito.com, or call 844-44-DR-JOE. Catch you next time.